rather quickly, but thank you all for being here. Is my voice level okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, next slide if you please. So I called my project a collection of lesson plans because I figured if I were to title it lesson plans that are based on authentic materials, aligned to OAS and actual standards, culturally relevant and multimodal, that'd just be too long of a title. So I stuck with collection of lesson plans. Okay, next. So I wanted to start off by explaining what does all that stuff mean. So as French teachers, when we're planning our lessons, there's really a lot to consider. So this is an overview of a unit that I designed on this trip. So the theme for French 1 is food. Everybody loves food. It's aligned to Oklahoma academic standards, which are the standards that we as French teachers are accountable to. It's also aligned to actual standards, which is the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, and that's kind of a global standard for language proficiency. And I included various modes of communication, which is just how we use language. So speaking, reading, writing, listening, interpersonal, presentational, and interpretive. So next. Okay, so how are teachers in Oklahoma going to be able to access the lessons that I created? I have them all in a Google Drive. I included a little screenshot over there just to give you something to look at. And they are going to be accessible to any Oklahoma French teacher. And I'm going to share them with the Alliance Française d'Oklahoma City, of course, as well as OFLTA, which is a professional organization for language teachers in the state. So, next. Okay, so what is in these lessons? Well, it's 5 days worth of lessons based on a 50-minute class period. So lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the first theme is à la cantine, so in the lunchroom. The second is au café, at a cafe. The third is plat traditionnel, so traditional dishes. Lesson 4 is à la boulangerie, at the bakery. And lesson 5 is au supermarché, so at the supermarket. And then that's a screenshot of the à la boulangerie lesson. Next slide. The way that the lessons are laid out is that they're firstly composed of authentic materials, which is something that's really important when you're thinking about teaching a language. I'll get to a little bit later. Like I said, they're aligned to our standards. They contain various modes of communication, and they're designed for student engagement. That's a really big thing that we want to focus on. As well as each lesson has cultural, communicative, and structural goals. So there's a big debate in the language teaching world of if you should focus on communication or structure. And some people think that those are apparently inherently opposed to each other, but I really disagree. I think that, in my personal opinion, the best teachers integrate communicative and structural goals all together. But I wanted to include all of those aims. Next. Okay, so what are authentic materials? Well, they're exactly what they sound like, but this is the difference right here illustrated in front of you. On the left, this is a poster that might be used to teach vocabulary in a language classroom. The problem is it's not super engaging and it's completely culturally neutral. It doesn't have a lot of authentic information in the poster. As opposed to, these are 2 photographs that I took on the trip in France where my primary purpose was to gather authentic resources. So in the middle slide, this is a picture I took at a grocery store, and it has a poster in the soft drink section that lets clients of this grocery store know that unfortunately the prices of sugary drinks have gone up due to a governmental tax on sugar. So as a teacher, I can use this as an opportunity to discuss cultural values and why might they tax sugar and what do you think of that and should we do the same? On the right, it says zone anti-gaspi, which is gaspillage and waste. So this is a section of a French grocery store where you can benefit from a price reduction for foods that are about to reach their expiration date. And so this can be used in the classroom to talk about cultural values towards waste and environmental sustainability. So these are just some examples of why authentic resources actually matter. Next. Here are a couple of examples of activities that are contained within the lesson plans. So, little aside, on this trip we were in Beauvais for 2 weeks, but I took advantage of that time and that proximity, and I did a quick little weekend jaunt over to Luxembourg. And so I spent some time in the capital of Luxembourg, Luxembourg City, because it's a Francophone country, and I thought, how awesome would that be for my project to get to have materials from Luxembourg and from France? So, for example, in one of the lessons for the plat traditionnel, I have students discovering dishes from the Ivory Coast and from Luxembourg, both 2 different Francophone countries. And so I would have students describing traditional dishes of Luxembourg using adjectives like sucré, salé, délicieux, etc. And then on the right side, this is a photo of a poster that I took in the cantine of Lycée Jean Hachette. And it's encouraging students to not be wasteful and letting them know that they have the choice between a small plate and a large plate, which is really important because when we ate in the cantine at the high school, we found the portions were massive. So yeah, it's nice to be able to have the smaller option. But as a language teacher, I can use this poster and discuss with students the cultural practices, products, and perspectives behind that image. So here are some fun pictures that are included in the lesson materials. I just think this is so fascinating. Yeah, the petit cochon, they have little pastries that are little pigs. I thought that was so neat. Everybody who was on the trip with me is probably looking at the top right picture. That is my sandwich. I eat that every day, multiple times per day sometimes. But yeah, and then next slide. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Merci de votre attention. Thank you very much, and huge shout out to everybody who made the trip possible. This is a full circle moment for me because I was actually giving a presentation as a fellow in 2014. So it's kind of crazy to be doing this so many years later, but merci beaucoup.